Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. All those who can, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
We don't have Mr. Salvia with us yet, but I understand he's on his way. Otherwise, we're direct.
That's whole inside of the room down.
One thing I wish Sue didn't do is ding dong all the time. It drives me nuts. Okay, so next item is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support, how?
Moved and supported, no vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Frederick.
Yes.
Clerk Flowers, yes. Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Let's say my name first.
Okay, the next item is consent agenda approval. Can I get a motion to approve that, please?
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support, how?
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mrs. Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia is not here. Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next item is announcements and information. Primary election is August 2nd, 2022.
Yay.
Get out and vote. DDA summer concerts series starts tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Veterans Park. And the Highland Market has been going on Saturdays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's from started in June 18th and 8th. Okay, at this time,
Actually, I want to just
the public comment.
just on the concerts. Tomorrow night is Itchku Park with Bob Lewis on the drums, former Milford alumni. And then I stopped by the farmer's market on Saturday. Kind of low attendance that day, but
They had 11 vendors cancel.
canceled. There wasn't very many, but they were all very nice, the ones that were there. And the
Yeah.
cookies the guy made were very good.
Oh, yes, we got some of those. He's the market manager.
Okay, they had some entertainment. So hopefully it'll,
And a food truck,
so hopefully,
vacations mostly.
it's 4th of July week too, it's our week. So hopefully, it's a great location though, I do like it. So it's
Hazardous waste, they really helped it. On Saturday.
Oh, really?
That one Saturday, they all exited right there and they could see it.
perfect. Can I ask, how'd that go?
We don't have the numbers yet. but
How do we
I
think
know.
it went? Pretty smooth?
Smooth.
Oh, smooth, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
All right, so any other public comment?
I do want to say something else.
Okay.
I'm still big on trying to create a bike path from Highland to Milford and vice versa. I think there's got to be, we've got to find a way to link up the communities, and it's not very far. So I was in last week and I talked to Jen and I talked to Beth a little bit, and Beth was already looking at stuff. So I'd really like to, I don't know what we can do, and I know you have a lot of resources, not that I want, your plate isn't full already, and I get it.
But I'll
we just-
help.
We just need to find a way, if it's putting a plan in motion. It was one, I didn't run on that issue. I talked, it was one of my goals, but I got a few people bugging me that I didn't actually run on it. I knew it was gonna be a tough sell, but I think that we need to really, there's just no way to get there unless you go early in the morning, going down Milford Road. It's just, we had a why, just something, there's gotta be a way besides going down the back roads or whatever. Nobody wants to ride down the dirt roads. It's only a couple miles, but just find a way to get us hooked up from Milford High School, which would be a great launching spot, I think, with the parking lot there. If they wanted to ride, if they wanted to park, like, did they park at the Y, or they park by McDonald's in Milford and catch the bike path. Once you get on that path over there, you can go everywhere, all the way to South Line, you can go all the way over to Pinckney, you go all the way over to the east side of the state, that from the airline trail, there's all kinds of things. So I'd really love to see if we could, anyways, I don't know what we can do. I know we got so many things on our plate, and I know that it's a tough thing to do because trying to find that path. I'd really like to find something to at least get something Rick and I have been commenting a couple times, things are starting to happen finally that we talked about when we first met each other and we ran for the first time. It'd be nice to, this is one of the things we've kind of been on the back burner for a long time. It's like every time it comes up, it's like we talk about it, not us here, but even the Parks and Recs committee and stuff, and all of a sudden we're just kind of poo-poo to the back burner, and it'd be nice to be able to, I don't know what the answer is. I just like
Well,
to,
I mean, you really need to get the sidewalk committee together
right?
and start the process, and you need to have the right people there.
I just forwarded you an email. And it's a seminar. There's $1 billion out there for safe routes right now.
Oh, yeah.
So you might want to maybe be the one that registers to go to the seminar and look at it and see where we can.
Okay,
Nice.
sounds good. Thank you.
The thing is that like any of the grant applications are due on Thursday, September 15th. This is typical of grants. They throw them out there and give you 30 days to figure out where you're headed. But the reality is we need to, if you go and look at this and understand what you need to go after a grant, then you can get it ready for the next grant. That way you're shovel ready, so to speak. So
There was a lot of money out there. I was talking to a friend who's big into it, and he said that there's a lot of money. A lot of people out there with a lot of money are big on the bike paths. So
Right, and if you go to safe routes to schools route, you start with bike day. You know, you have to promote bike day, and then you have to, there's steps you have to do.
Right,
You have
which
to
we
do
did
the survey.
before.
Yeah, and then you do the
Exactly.
survey, and then, you know, you move on from there, and then no engineering costs are covered.
Great.
So
That's right.
then you would maybe find, that's where like the TAP grant or the SEMCOG grant comes in.
Okay,
That's how we got the.
maybe I'll come in and we'll talk, sit down one day and we'll talk, just to kind of get the,
Yeah,
just to get the
And-
parameters. If it is for next, if it is, you know, we don't put it in for the grant till next year.
and maybe
that's-
just get all the property owners along that side, you know, a couple of rows back, maybe someone would let us buy property and put a pathway on it. I mean, since consumers wouldn't. Or consumers, it was too
well, we
hard.
can't do it the Rick Hamill way because we'll get in trouble.
I understand.
So, no, it's not.
But even, and it's also the
We'll buy
people,
the
we have people that
bulldozer and
walk
make
between the
paths.
communities too, and it'd be nice to have them off Milford Road somehow. So, okay, we'll talk.
And I guess our thoughts.
I just wanted to bring that up.
The other
Okay.
thing, and just keep it in the back of your mind, one of the conferences I went to a Rails to Trails
Right?
class, and I asked them to put us on the list if they're gonna shut the,
Yes,
yeah, then we need to know that.
right, that'd be amazing.
I doubt it will, though.
No, they sold it to, or they leased it to the.
Well, we'll look into it, but I just want to bring it up. I just think it's one of those things I'd like to
And
really,
Pettibone Lake Road is kind of one of our, we've always used that as a possible road for biking.
it's just kind of a pain. It puts you over there. I mean, yes, it's better than nothing, but
Right.
it's all gravel and,
Mhm.
you know, now you're dealing with cars. I mean,
Yeah,
just,
so that's, we've always kind of fallen back on that.
right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to bring it up. So, all right.
Any of you that just came in have a public comment you'd like to make?
On that one, no, I have some questions down the road, so.
Okay,
They're gonna be. Oh, so I guess I have a question. As a renter or tenant, am I liable for property tax?
a renter or tenant as a general rule, no.
Okay, so my deed to the property calls me a renter or tenant. The United States has securitized the property. In doing so, under County Cole versus United States, that makes them the liable party for property tax.
Okay, this is probably not the right
Then you,
venue because you're gonna have to take that up with the assessor. And so we'd have to get you in touch with the assessing team.
okay, so do they deal with the, I guess you could say the permits underneath the building codes that we're subject to? Is that? do they deal with that
That's
too?
another department. That's the building department. And also zoning and planning would be involved as well. So what happens is if you're,
So when I talk to the building department, because I've been down at the township quite a few times, so I figure a trustee meeting would be the best place to have it, since you guys have a fiduciary duty in the matter as the trustees of the trust. I get nowhere, but I turn at the head and it drops. So my question is do I go through and file a notice of liability? Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, 1985 Supreme Court case stipulates that code statutes rules codes of statutes are ambiguous in definition, therefore lacking process. The Constitution that everybody took an oath to affords me my right to due process law. So not being a government employee or officer, how am I subject to those codes? Now, there's supreme rulings in this, and they are the supreme law of the land, so I'm wondering how this is being brought down upon the people. I'm not a United States citizen, I'm a state national. So that takes me out of the code, statutes, rules, regulations code world.
Well, I'll make a statement that I think what you're running down is the land grant rules and regulations, which is a whole different path. The other part that you're rolling down is something that we're not engaged in. I mean, you're declaring yourself as a particular type of citizen or non-citizen or whatever. We don't have at this board have any, I'm going to speak for everybody just unless somebody else has knowledge, have no idea what you're talking about. And so you can bring it to the board here, and what you're going to have is apparent deaf ears because we don't know what you're talking about. So, or what it is you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to accomplish building something on your property, then we need to address it through our normal format, and then it
Well, I
might
had
end up
issues
with an
the fact
attorney.
that I have a house, there's a house next to me, the same lot of property. My property taxes are $4,000 higher a year. Now, you guys send the bill.
Okay. All right, well, our public comments are 3 minutes. I think we've got a whole different, I don't know where you're trying to head with this or what you're.
Well, I'm trying to find remedies, what I'm trying to find, and every time that I go down to the township, nobody has a clue of what I'm talking about. They turn around and turn a deaf ear. So where do I go through and get remedy for this?
And your remedy you're asking for is what?
Answers.
No taxes?
Well, the property taxes, I'd like to know, since the United States has securitized them, they're obligated to go through and do that. I don't own the property, I'm considered a renter. And
Okay,
you
that's.
just said at the beginning of your speech that a renter or tenant, that, yeah,
Lisa,
they're not
you have any
obligated.
comment on it?
I honestly don't know any of the case law that he rattled off. I would have to research it, but as you'd indicated, that's really an assessor's issue to look into. I'm sure this has come up.
Oh, yeah, there's a parcel on corner of Ormond and White Lake Road, northwest corner. That individual has declared that through the Land Grant Act.
Or a land patent.
The land patent, and the irony on that one is the land patent has to be followed all the way back to the original
Chain of title.
chain of title. So it takes quite a bit of work, and that gentleman did accomplish that.
Right, and I understand that.
And
at the same sense,
yours may or may not fall into that, depending on what it was the original piece of or parcel of, how long ago, how many splits. There's a whole bunch of stuff that engages in that. So the assessor is the place you would have to start. Our office is going to go, what? Because we don't generally deal with any of that. This is the first that I've ever heard of anything like this
okay,
in Highland. So that's going to mean that you're probably going to have to engage an attorney in
I
order.
handle all my affairs. An attorney's a bar member, accredited registry member. I don't have nothing to do with it. They can only
Right,
represent
well-
property,
So we-
not a man.
Probably just need to make an appointment.
Yeah, you're going to have to
And
make
we'll
a,
have to have
we'll have to
building
find
planning,
a path or an
assessing.
avenue to be able to hopefully get some answers for you. And those answers should be of assistance if it comes up again. So I think that the best thing to do is go talk to Karen Provo. She's in the assessing office. Tell her that you came to the township board. Township supervisor said that we need to look into the path that you're looking and what you're trying to accomplish and get answers for what you ask questions for. And we'll move forward with it from there.
And what was your name?
Bond,
Is that first or last?
that's first, that's what I'm known as,
Okay, Bond.
yes.
Okay, just so I can let her know.
So,
Is there a certain address associated with your name?
no, I just leave that private, I stay everything private, she'll find out when I get to talk with her. The other, that takes care of that, I'll deal with that with her tomorrow, and I'll figure out about the building codes. The other question I have is, it was brought to my attention that you guys were looking at charging $1.85 per thousand for the fire departments. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
So in order to bring that to the public, do you guys have a CAF or a comprehensive annual financial report where we can see all on-ledger, off-ledger accounts? So we can go through and make that assessment?
I have a copy of the audit right here and I can let you have mine and then because I have more copies back at the office.
Okay.
Right?
That's all I needed then.
All right. We'll see what we can help you with.
All right.
Okay,
I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
all right, thanks. All right, anybody else? Comments?
No, we're,
Just here to look.
yes,
I didn't.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
enjoy your meeting.
Yep, okay.
Was it something I said?
Yes,
Way to
you
go.
might have had a smell.
So that sets off an interesting
Okay.
series of
Well,
questions, so.
Texting Karen right now.
So good comment.
Get them prepared because there's gonna be a lot of questions. I don't want to give answers. I don't want to give my name. I don't want to, so.
And then we'll
Great
contact you
message.
later.
Okay. Maybe get the cases that he rattled off.
Yeah, I'll get
I
everything. I
asked
can.
him for his request in writing, because like, what are you saying?
Okay, so let's move on.
Would you update us real quick on where we're at with the township hall?
Yeah, have you looked at it lately?
Yeah, I drive by it all the time.
It's actually moving along quite well. The interior is almost all wall boarded.
Oh, wow.
They're still working on the auditorium and the entrance, the lobby. They've, I think, already put a coat of paint on most of it. The late September, October is the date that they think they might be complete. I think we talked about it, I mentioned it. We will move if it's the 1st of October, but we won't if it's the end of October. Until the elections.
Oh, okay, elections. I was gonna say till when next spring.
Tammy doesn't want to sit in the shed by herself. Oh, you might enjoy that over there without anybody.
Maybe.
So we're gonna do everything we can to keep Tammy happy because I can't do her job, don't want to do her job. And she does a great job, so
Yes.
she can move in after the elections, but I think that's probably gonna be more realistic. There's no reason to jump up and we're not renting
Not when
another
it's
building, we're not paying any
days.
money out, that type of thing. We got one layer of asphalt in most of the new parking area. They'll be tearing out the old asphalt within the week, I hope.
Any repurposing for that somewhere?
Yep, it's getting ground up and going over to the community sharing to finish that project. So, then sheriff stations. I think if you wanna, well, there's some landscape repair stuff that needs to be done. We'll do some basic fill and touch up in the fall, and then springtime we'll do both buildings. We're still working on drainage right now around the building for the downspouts and the huge roof that's gonna supply us with enough water to do a reservoir, I think. So hopefully it's gonna go where it's pointed, down the downspouts. So that's pretty much it. We ordered the furniture
I see that in the consent. agenda.
and we withheld the lobby furniture for now.
Okay.
The stuff that we were looking at, the furniture supplier had come up with a quote around 30 grand. It just, I think we need to get the building done. We can move some chairs around that we already have into the spaces. We don't need to spend that money right now until we finish up the building and see where we go.
That works.
And then we can look at Find some furniture that's less than that.
So we
So
do public comment already?
you can be free to have a,
Okay, I attended a kind of a meeting, social thing with our new Congresswoman, Lisa. And White Lake Township guy was there, Phil Whiteley was there, so it was good that I was there representing the township. I gave him some cards, and she's trying to get her hands around what we do in Highland and Milford. So it was a good time for me to be there. They're still there, but I sacrificed myself and left so I could be here.
Who was there?
Lisa
McLean.
McLean, one with all the big signs up and down the roads.
She's got an awkward. We're part of the new district now. It's kind of awkward. So I got a chance to say hi.
Strange.
I think it's 13.
7 or
Oh.
9.
9. Oh,
Well, crazy thing, my daughter got married over in 3 weeks ago in Brown City, and those signs are up all over there. And then all of a sudden I get back over here. I knew same district, but I get over here and the same signs are on 59. It's like,
The district office is in Washington.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like this huge,
One of the next
Huge
district
district. I think it's the
squares.
whole
I think it's kind of cool because I grew up on the farm, but it's just weird. Hey, can I ask a question? How far south is it going? Where's the boundary line?
I think a little piece of Milford, isn't it?
Okay,
But not all of Milford.
okay.
So it was good. There was some Milford folks there from the village. And
yeah, I told him I couldn't make it because of the board meeting, so.
so I kind of represented us.
I had the fortune of meeting her with some other supervisors and Sheriff Bouchard about a month ago.
I just told her it'd be tough and stand your ground on what's right. Don't worry about what party says or what somebody over your head's beating you. Stand your ground, do the right thing. Okay, that's my report.
Okay, cool.
One thing I want to say, I just want to say
You've said
No.
that 3 times then.
well, I know, but I don't say a lot. I know I'm making up for 5.5 years of saying nothing much at all. I just want to say, I was over the other day at the satellite township office, as we'll call it, and I'm just very impressed. It's very impressive when you walk through there. It's really, it was,
Pretty cool.
that was really a,
You haven't
I just
been
want
there?
to give, if it was Rick's idea, whoever, it was a very ingenious idea, I think. And I still think we should, I put the call in a long time ago and I never followed up. I think that Township magazine,
I have an article written. I'm
Oh,
just waiting for someone to review it.
we should do something. I just think it's a very,
Good for you.
for what,
It's always on my list.
Very
I think it's a cool, it was just a cool idea. We'd have to, it just, how much money it saved the township and everything. And I think it's pretty neat when you walk through there.
It is.
Everybody's,
Is this the first time you walked through it?
oh, no, I've been over there a few times, but I just thought it was pretty cool. And I was over there and I stopped in. I was just, it's always neat when you go through there. So I think it's
It
been,
is such a town hall feeling. We were gonna be so sad to go back to like offices and
I'm not gonna be sad.
We're gonna leave one building back there for therapy. So,
Yeah.
this-
I just think it was just a cool idea. I think it's just really, I just want to say it again. So,
well, if one
and
person,
that's it for now.
if one person comes in and says something, then other people hear that and they're like, oh, no, we can help you over
Yeah,
here, or we can
right.
do this.
It's pretty cool. It's really good.
And so, not to blow my horn or anything, but at our last meeting, every Thursday, we have our meeting with the contractors. And they asphalted the parking lot with the first course. Well, they put asphalt around all of the manhole covers. Well, that's not, they did it because it's hard to do it without looking around it. Then you have to come back and cut those out. 6x6 area around it, and they put 8 inches of cement. Well, the spec contractor didn't put that in the bid because he figured that somebody would form it out or something. So it's $2,500 for each of 4, so that's 10 grand. Cut these things out and get them ready for cement. And then so anyways, what I did is I worked with our general contractor, just to give you an idea how awesome these guys
Oh,
are.
yes, amazing.
Friday morning, they had a contractor out there with a diamond saw, cut the squares out. And Friday afternoon, I pulled the asphalt out with my backhoe. And this morning, I finished that up with Jeremy helped with the last 2, digging it out to the depth that we needed to be. So if you take the cement out of it, it saved it between $8,000 and $10,000.
Nice, very nice.
So that just makes me feel a whole lot better about, and the cement contractor was there this afternoon. But they have to put these little forms around it to pour their cement inside there. And he goes, he said, man, thanks a lot. He says, this is one thing we hate, is doing those types of things, because there's no money. They're a pain in the rear. It's just a labor intensive thing. I said,
Sounds like there's money in it.
well, only if people get suckered into doing it. So it's one of those things where I just felt like I can do it. I need to do it.
Good.
And so,
Well done.
I got party.
Sound like a steak burger.
But we can't have parties on them. So anyways, that's a savings that we can put towards the activity center. Now, the activity center, which we're putting siding on the outside of that, which wasn't part of the original.
Good.
So I'm always looking at every corner to figure out how we can save some money. All right, so public comment section.
I'm done.
Oh, wait, public comment. The concert series tomorrow and we have a hot dog truck. So come and get your dinner.
Not sure.
I hope so. I can't help it when they don't show up. They're obligated for most of our,
Late 60s, early 70s rock. They're really good.
oh my gosh.
And
it sounds
they have a
so-
new singer too, the girl that's just made albums and she's really singing for Red Lights and
I
stuff.
can't wait. It's gonna be a good one.
All right, I'm done.
All right,
All right, I'm done.
Promise you.
done with public comment. Thanks for the public comment. It's good stuff. New business. First item on the list is to award a bid for SCBA bottle replacement. Some people might know them as scuba bottles, but they're air bottles for the fire department. These units are right at or about to pass their life expectancy. Chief, what's the life expectancy? 15 years. So they're right at that limit. So now I gotta find.
It's page. I don't even know yet. This is office furniture. What was that? Is that just information?
Yeah, that's in the consent agenda.
Memo. Oh, here's this. Hey. It just says current.
I can probably bring it up.
126 is Chief's scuba. How do you-
SCBA,
SCBA. Self-contained.
Scuba would be self-contained.
Underwater. breathing
Yeah,
exercise.
sorry.
Okay, so. Guess I'll start with a motion. I'd like to make a motion to use MES municipal and emergency services as the lowest bidder. Is that where we want to go? Chief?
Yeah.
Yep. At $1,185 each. So there's 28 cylinders required for a total of $33,100.
And this is from the general fund.
This is from our general fund.
Yep.
Correct?
Well, it doesn't say in the memo.
Doesn't say in the memo.
I think Chief was asking for ARPA money. There was no request for a budget amendment to designate a
Turn
fund.
that air conditioner off. Check it. Can't hear anything for one thing.
So I
Just do the switch
figured
up.
you must be deciding at the table what fund it would come from.
Where should it come from?
I think there's a logic to using our money for it. Things are pretty tight in the fire department
Okay.
funds.
So the art money that we're,
There you go.
we,
So not the real art money.
Okay.
Fake our money?
no, so we did get our second payment of ARPA funds, so we do have the $2 million. That $2 million, we're gonna bring to the board probably in August. to see, we've been trying to figure out where to use it from, or, use it at. And if we pay salaries out of general fund with that money, then it just frees up all the other money that
That
we were going to pay
So
that.
essentially, the money would come from the general fund.
Yes.
Okay.
So we,
Out of the surplus created by the ARPA.
yeah, so we can, even just if we agree to do it out of general fund in-house, we can find a line item to make the budget amendment and bring to the next board
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, if
Okay,
that's what
so
everybody wants.
It's fine.
So I'm sorry, I interrupted your motion.
That was just,
I made a motion, so we need.
I'll support.
Okay, now we can have the discussion, so.
so was your motion indicating a fund?
Um,
I don't
I'll
have
add
any-
to the motion to use general fund monies to be determined at a later date. Is that correct? That ain't working.
We're determining tonight.
Okay. Add your verbiage that you'd like to see.
I would say to use general fund surplus resulting from the ARPA grant.
Okay,
And I will support my support with the amendment. Amended language. Added language.
okay, so that's general fund money as a result of surplus generated by.
Right.
Support how?
Any questions?
So we're gonna talk about what we're gonna use the rest of the art money for next time.
I think so.
Okay, it's just, I'm looking at the audit and it looks like the fund balance in the fire is bigger than their annual budget. So it seemed like an odd request to me to ask for assistance. So,
Chief has an
With the-
answer.
So, yeah.
We'll let her finish it.
so that's where my thought is, and it's a dedicated millage for fire. This is definitely a legitimate expense. I don't have a problem with that at all. But to not see the whole picture, like who's requesting for the art money. I would just wanted more discussion, that's all.
Just to kind of
Because it
toss up,
felt,
the chief wants to say something, but I think that in this scenario, we don't have a new millage coming in yet. We haven't
Right.
got a vote on that, so
Understand
there's
that.
some monies we have to be thinking about there. So it's kind of this is a time sensitive deal, so chief, you want to?
yeah, I wanted more discussion, that's all.
Just as in reference to our fund balance, we gave a 5-year plan 3 years ago.
Yep.
With the intention of making the last 5 years.
Okay.
Unfortunately, collapse that are moving around us, we kind of had to take on more responsibilities, more duties.
Right, oh, I
AKA
understand.
EMS. With this millage that's being voted on in August, those monies aren't collected until the following
Yep.
year. But I need to get people on staff right now, so as I plan my budget ahead 3 to 5 years, I'm always looking at how are we gonna manage moving forward? And that was kind of my plan for next year, is taking some of our fund balance, using it for general operations to bridge the gap between the old fire millage and the new fire millage.
Okay. This is more discussion for the public so that they would understand why we're, because again, it's definitely a legitimate expenditure.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with that at all. It was just, I don't want to get in the habit of using general money, but it's a different animal this time.
This is it's not only a different animal what they are, but just everything going on nationally.
It's completely changing.
Between hiring guys, between EMS, between changes in the, well, being able to hire people. I'm sure Lieutenant Snyder can tell you how hard it is for them to get up to full staff on the police side. We're having a hard time on our side too, so we're gonna have to look at how we manage all of our services, all of our market services in the next few years, so this is
Increased gas prices,
Utility
already
prices.
their overtime is almost
Oh,
where they
100%,
budgeted.
Yeah,
and that was one of the things that, when we discussed, when we talked about bringing this millage to the public, I had to argue with trustee Howell, well, are you asking for enough? Well, it's not that we're not asking for enough. It's, you know, times are gonna be hard for everybody. We wanna make sure we're making the right prudent decision to request funds from the public.
Yeah.
Which is why we only went for 1.85, when other communities
I don't know if that's what you want to say.
2.75, 3.25. We are all hazards EMS transport agency,
yeah.
so we
That's a
did
good
an
thing.
awful lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your explanation.
As I always say, this is all we need to replace. That's perfect for what we need to do, right? No, I'm just saying, because I know, I just want to make sure, I understand bare bones and cutting where we can, but I mean, we gotta make sure this is what we need.
And I think everybody on the board knows that I beg and plead and
Okay.
ask for spend a lot of money, so.
All right, so make sure.
Yeah, we had to stop them from talking about putting Y valves on them, so two people could share the tank. You know.
Cool. All right, okay, good enough.
That's a joke.
I know.
All right,
You know.
so we've got the motion and support for the motion and discussion. Any more discussion? If not, then we'll vote, please.
All right, Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next item. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of homework here and see if I can make this happen. Every year, there's foreclosed properties that come before the township with an opportunity for the township to choose to purchase them. And we've done that in the past. And one thing that we forgot to do is to put together the resolution. So we'll do one here at the table for this. But in this particular case, this goes back to actually when Judy was treasurer. There were two parcels of property with single owner on what road is that?
Woodside.
Woodside, which is
Cherry
north and west of
Cherry.
Duck Lake Road. So there's Jackson Boulevard, Duck Lake, it's in that
Okay.
quadrant there. So what ends up happening is the woman who owned the property, one parcel went into foreclosure. We got it back for her. She, we saved it for her anyways from going to auction. And the septic field for her house was on that vacant lot. That's not anything that's allowable anymore. If you have a house, the septic has to be on your defined property. Can't be on a parcel without a home. So anyways, a group came in and she passed away, property went up for sale. A group came in, bought the house
Right.
and the lot the house is on, but didn't buy the other parcel because it never got combined. And it was supposed to have been combined, it didn't happen. So this is why we need to follow up the trail on these things when we do this stuff, is that you think it would happen, but it didn't happen. So consequently, the people who own the house now don't own their septic field. So if somebody buys the parcel, if we let it go through the foreclosure process and it goes up for auction, the person who purchases it, the lot can be built on it.
With somebody else's septic on it?
That septic is gone. So they don't have a septic anymore. So now you're gonna have, things get tricky. So the whole concept here is what's the public purpose? So we have to have a public purpose for purchasing property. The public purpose is to reconnect the septic to the home.
That's health.
And the parcel that should have been combined in the last instance when this property went into foreclosure, and to prevent this from happening again. So we contacted the new owners of the property and said, here's a problem you have, which they didn't know.
Oh, wow.
So we would like to help you reconnect your septic field, or here's what would happen to them. they would probably end up paying between $30,000 and $40,000 for the new field.
Yeah.
Which is probably worth more than a house. I don't know. But anyways, it's a group that they buy and they rent the homes out and stuff. So this is a rental unit. So anyways, this is an opportunity to make that happen. The public purpose is to see that we get these things connected, that people have their septic field that they should be able to have. And it kind of semi-caused by the public entities, the governmental entities. In the first place, it should have been, now whether we were at fault or the homeowner was at fault because they didn't follow through with it.
Two, there's the guy that built the septic tank, the guy who owned the property.
Yeah.
That built the septic tank on the property. That's-
And the house is old enough that because the title was the same owners on both parcels, it predates the new rules that say the septic has to be built on the
So
lot.
both properties owned by the same person when they built the septic tank.
Yeah, it can't be separate parcel IDs. It has to be one ID number. And so this is two ID numbers.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? I guess I'm
So we're
I'm
gonna
confused
purchase-
here. So what are we doing exactly?
We're gonna recommend to purchase this property.
Okay,
That takes it off the auction block.
okay,
Then we have to put together a resolution. We send to the county that we're going to purchase this, agree to purchase this vacant property. Our public purpose is to see that that property gets back in their hands.
okay.
Now, in the past, we purchased property, sold it to the DDA, which is the public purpose. The DDA then turned around and sold the land to generate revenue, which we can't do.
Right.
So, or shouldn't do. You can get in trouble for doing that kind of thing. So that's what we're trying to do here is keep parcels together that should belong together, that should have been together before, and this will solve some problems.
So the DDA can do this even though it's not part of the DDA
Correct,
corridor? Okay.
But in this case, we don't have to.
Right, so you don't have to do that. no.
right.
It's
We
a
can do
work
it. We're not
pass
gonna
through.
make money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the-
So they're just gonna pay us whatever we,
Closing
Yes.
costs and everything, whatever it costs us to obtain it.
they're just gonna, like, just a even swap.
Pass through,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we're not gonna ask for
Both
any money.
two separate numbers.
Right.
So basically, they're gonna pay us, reimburse us for the,
Yeah, for all costs.
oh, okay.
So it's kind of a net zero for us. It's
Pretty
it's
good
a
deal for
bonus for
them.
them because back to the DDA thing, we could purchase it, sell it to the DDA, and the DDA could then go to those people and say, okay, how much are you willing to give us for this property? And it's like a hostage event then. That's not the right way to do it. A better example is the property that the Iverson Foundation had across from Fontaine's at 39 acres that we purchased for about the same price as that, which is ironic. And then we sold it to the DDA, and the object is we actually went to the, in fact, you weren't in office at the time, were you?
No, I
You
was.
were- We went to Andy Meisner and said, will you, and I talked to him personally, will you just let us back this back up and Iversons will pay the taxes and then it's all done? Absolutely not. So they made them go through this, all the hoops and follow this whole path. So we decided that we would purchase it, we would sell it to the DDA, then the DDA, because Iverson's lumber is in the DDA district, that's not. We went to the lumber company and said, we purchased this parcel, sold to the DDA. The DDA would like to talk to you about what you think you would like to do about this. So we left it in their hands. And what they did is they came back and they said, if we would take this to court regardless. So we estimated if we went to court, it would cost us somewhere in the vicinity of $80,000. So they gave the DDA $80,000. And what that did is that got them free and clear on their property. The DDA benefited the district, which is where they're located as well. So it was a way to really work with the business environment through the business and economic development, get their land back. And I mean, we could have given it back to them, but we left it to them to make a decision what they wanted to do. They set the points, so. And then the other part was, the DDA agreed that it was not looking to be greedy and thought that it was a good idea just to work with the business owner to get the land back. This is a very simple
Okay,
thing.
sounds
So
great.
we're working with
That makes sense.
who should be the property owner. When they bought that, they should have gotten that parcel with it,
Right.
but people were gonna get them. Okay, so
So whose name would it be in, like, if we purchase it for them, we don't put it in the township's name until we,
At first we do,
Yeah.
and then sell it back.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it goes into their name.
I see.
So we end up property owners temporarily, we have to cover the tax, we gotta do, all that stuff, but then that's part of the cost of the property. They reimburse us.
Oh.
And when it's all said and done, we just kind of shuffled it off into there.
So.
Backyard.
for a vote or what?
You don't have a motion yet.
So, I
We
guess
don't have a motion
we
yet?
don't have a motion yet. So,
I would move to purchase the foreclosed property, tax ID number 1112-131-002 from Oakland County Treasurer.
hold on.
Before that seconded,
Yeah, before we go that route, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna present a resolution.
Perfect.
And then we'll vote on the resolution. So this will be, and I'm doing this from,
My scribbles,
if we had a resolution today on this, what, do you know what the number would be?
We can number it after the fact.
Okay, so this will be resolution 22-
Something.
XX something to purchase tax foreclosed properties. I'll read it out so it'll be, and we'll have our attorney make any corrections that we might need to correct. At a regular meeting at the Charter Township Highland Board held on July 11th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Present, Rick Hamill, Debbie Flowers,
That's
Judy
not
Cooper.
before, yeah.
Okay, that's actually whatever. Nobody's absent. The following resolution is being offered by me. In other words, whereas under MCL 211.78, prior to properties in the township that have prior properties in the township that have been foreclosed upon by the county treasurer being offered for public sale, the township has a limited right to purchase for public purpose one or more of those properties by paying the minimum bid for each property as established by the county treasurer. And whereas the township supervisor has identified and recommended that the township board approve the purchase of the following tax foreclosed property for the purchase price, which corresponds to the minimum bids indicated of $3,910.12, and that's for vacant land, 11 ID number 1112-131-002. Whereas the township board desires to purchase the property recommended by the township supervisor to be held, used, renovated, improved, conveyed, rented, transferred, made available for, or otherwise disposed of for one or more public purposes, with the following public purpose for purchasing each parcel having been identified at the meeting which this resolution is adopted. So the tax parcel 1112-131-002, the public purpose is to sell the property to the owners of 4796 Woodside to alleviate the issue of having their septic system for 4796 Woodside located on the vacant parcel in question.
does the public purpose have to articulate your intent to sell? Can't it just be to eliminate a potential contamination issue related to a septic system on the vacant parcel or something to that effect?
It could be shortened probably.
Only because I don't know how the county responds when you say you're purchasing it just to sell it.
oh no, the other ones before,
Is that the same thing you had before?
that was one of them.
Then that's fine.
Yeah, we had even,
I'm just
the
concerned, they're
previous
very
one
picky
was,
about.
for instance, it talks about the M59 property to transfer to the township DDA to use the property or revenue or sales proceeds from it for cost or expense of the DDA's development plan and business. So
All right,
it gets
so
pretty definitive.
that's fine, as long
And-
as you're
and-
comfortable, they'll accept that. Okay. So then you
Well,
made
instead of
that,
saying sell, we could call it convey.
and you made the motion, so then that resolution, that motion to adopt the resolution still has to be seconded and then
Right,
voted.
so I stole
Are
it,
you still reading? Are you done?
Yes, it's
I'm
the,
I think. Yeah, oh,
no,
no, it's therefore resolved, the township board approves the purchasing of the aforementioned foreclosed property for the maximum purchase price indicated in this resolution, and authorizes and directs the township supervisor to take all actions, sign all documents necessary to secure conveyance of those properties from the county treasurer. That's the motion.
Do you want to do the maximum 3,910.12? In the memo, it says not to exceed 5,000.
at the time, we didn't know. They did come back with that exact amount, the county did,
Okay.
with administrative fees, but I mean, not to exceed 5,000 would be fine.
There's probably gonna be some
No.
additional costs.
No, this had the,
Doesn't have
See,
our legal
no.
fees on it.
Or doesn't it?
This
Right,
is
but
the
this is
amount
just
we're
a
selling it for.
purchase.
This
This
is the
is
amount
not
we're
a
paying
purchase.
for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, you're right. It's for purchase.
so, yeah, we had an estimate before, that's why I said.
So we need a second on that one.
Support Louis.
That support. Okay. I think we had enough talk on that, unless somebody else wants to discuss anything.
We did.
Where's the back?
Where is it?
Ricky,
Now we had to do the budget amendment for the budget.
Well, we need to
Yeah, we
vote
gotta
on
vote on
this.
it.
Gotta vote.
Are we ready
Darn.
to vote?
Ready to
ready
vote.
to vote.
Thought we had
Okay,
enough on
let's
that.
vote, please.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia.
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Louis, yes.
Mr. Howe.
Mr. Hall votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick.
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
And yes.
Motion carries.
All right, that was a mess. Could you hand me that to me?
Sorry, that's a mess.
Sorry, I didn't even notice it. Like, I called you, an hour before the meeting, so
Yeah, well, and
I
I
didn't
was,
even notice what it is.
And you should have just called me.
it's not a problem. We handled it on the fly, so. Okay, the next item is a budget amendment for the foreclosed property.
Do you want to do the budget amendment? It's $5,000 or 3,900?
I would do the 5,000 because we're gonna have to cover some legal fees for
Round
this.
numbers, good.
Okay, I would move
Round
to
numbers are
approve the
good.
budget amendment as presented.
Support, Hal?
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Not here.
All right, ready to vote?
Ready to vote?
Mr. Salvia.
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Louis, yes.
Mr.
Mr.
Howe.
Hall votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick.
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel.
Yes. Hamel,
Motion
yes.
carries.
All right, next item. Tammy, you're up.
Sue Gibson is retiree from the township and she's remained on payroll as a seasonal employee so that she could come in from time to time and do office coverage if somebody's on vacation, or we've used her some for helping with elections with some kind of election tasks. And Sue's not having as much time available anymore. And we'd like to replace her. I mean, if she still wants to come back and work, she still can, but we need more than what she's able to do.
What is the current pay?
Thank you.
Well, Sue was continued on at her pay rate that she had when she retired.
It won't be bad.
Then if we bring a new person in, I put down here to cap it and the amount of our part-time office staff.
So
This is a
between
part-time
16
job.
It's like between 16 and 17 right now.
Yeah, in
That's
that
about hourly
neighborhood,
rate?
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a ballpark.
Yeah.
right?
16, 17, okay.
But it would be limited by that because that rate changes over time, so.
And these are positions where when the individual is hired, they know that it's got a terminus to it.
Limited,
It's
okay.
not a-
It's seasonal, it's only part-time.
as needed,
Well,
yeah.
and I wouldn't say terminus, I would say it's just random. There's no regular schedule, there's no expectation.
Right.
As needed then,
It
right?
should be
Yes.
seasonal. Elections and taxes.
How much notice is given to on-call?
not a permanent job.
I just kind of call and say, hey, are you available anytime this week? And
Okay, it's not like, can you come in today?
no, it's,
Oh, no.
we plan ahead.
No, we plan ahead.
Well,
We come in tomorrow.
all right, got it. Okay, I'm
I mean,
good.
they won't be fired if they
question.
can't come in
Are you looking
tomorrow.
for a job?
Never know.
Sounds like it.
Can you work tomorrow?
Tight grass.
So instead of bringing it bringing a candidate to the board, since this is kind of a, not a real job per se, I just thought maybe you guys could give us permission to figure it out internally. And then we can address it as we go. If somebody's working some and then they're like, no, I'm gonna go get a job somewhere else, then we can just replace them or whatever. If that's seems suitable to you guys.
Just have a quick question. Are part-time employees, are they eligible for benefits like for vacation time? And
They
for-
get PTO, which is not pretty, not very common in
Right,
outside
right.
world, but we do get PTO.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Why don't you craft a motion?
There's holidays, there's holiday pay if they have a regular schedule. A seasonal
Huh?
employee
Yeah.
does not get holidays because they don't have a regular schedule.
Can the board give a blanket approval? Doesn't an person have to be hired?
So the
I don't
fire
know.
department has
The temp-
permission to put people on payroll
Okay.
for
And then
probationary.
notify the board.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then
All right.
we did the same thing for WODO when they were with us.
Okay,
okay.
so with notification of the board, I'm good with that.
I'm not aware of anything in the policy that says we can't. Are you aware of something in the policy that says we can't?
No,
Are you aware of anything? That's where it would be located.
It's just transparency. It's just as long as we're announcing it to the world at the next meeting.
It's okay with the lawyer? With counsel? I mean, is there anything that angle we need to worry about at all?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so the motion would be to allow the in-house officials to select and onboard any seasonal employees that fit within budget.
So up to 20, I'm going to up to 29 hours a week and
Yeah, limited by, it has to be less than part-time, cannot be full-time. Seasonal employees do not earn PTO.
Cooper
Oh.
support.
Vote.
All right, Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
I'll vote yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mrs. Kirk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
All right. Next item. I'd like to make a motion to recess into closed session to consider a periodic personnel evaluation of the fire chief at the request of the fire chief in accordance with MCL 15.26A.268(1)A.
Cooper support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to stop recording and we're gonna go into closed session. So
Shut off the Zoom.
the Zoom can stay on. You guys can
Fine.
hang around and
Yeah.
wait, but we're gonna go into another room. So
Yeah.
we'll be back.
No, you're good to go.
Okay, we're back in.
You're good.
All right, we're good to go. All right, this is the funniest part about, we go into closed session, we come out, everybody goes, what'd they do? We can't tell you. So on that note,
Do we have to
Say
You have
that.
to-
nothing about the coming out of the closed session?
No.
Okay.
You have to
We have to
close,
resume.
you have to close closed
Yeah.
session or open.
Oh, okay. Make a motion to
Pay attention.
close the closed session. Okay, vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr.
Mr.
Howell,
Howell votes yes.
Mr. Hamlin,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
So thank you guys for sticking there in the Zoom. On that note, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks for hanging, Justin, and Heidi, I guess you're still on there. We'll talk to you later. Have